I found I had to come to terms with is the fact that some people just really, honestly, truly don't understand what it means to be consistent. So that's what I want to talk about today. What does it mean to be a consistent person? A consistent person is someone who always behaves the same and they have the same attitudes towards people or things, or they achieve the same level of success in something. The definition of consistency is the quality of always acting or performing in a similar manner. In the context of relationships, it alludes to the dependable behaviors and routines that give us reason to feel secure in our bonds. Being trustworthy, dependable, and true to your word are all aspects of consistency. It promotes mutual respect. It establishes your reputation, demonstrates to others that you are responsible for your actions, and it promotes open and frank, honest communication. Relationships experts concur that consistency is essential to establishing trust. Long term stability is characterized by both parties feeling appreciated, supported, secure, and loved, which is the result of you having trust in them. Humans, on the other hand, struggle with being naturally consistent. With so many distractions in our daily lives, we have a tendency to gravitate towards things that are more intense, which enables us to complete a task only once. We also have to learn how to prioritize our lives. You need to take inventory of your life and figure out what is most important to you. For me personally, what's most important to me is my mental health. Once I know that my mental health is in good shape, then I know I'm going to be good for my children and provide them with consistency. And my children are second on my priority list. Nothing comes before them, and they don't come before me. Everything else in my life works around those two issues: my mental health, my physical health and safety, my children. Everything else in my life works around that. And sometimes when people don't have their priorities straight, they tend to just allow other things to come and distract them from what they should be doing, what they need to be doing. And when you do that, others are going to assume that you don't care, even if you say you do. When you're seen as being inconsistent or are found to not keep your promises or your word, then you're going to make the people around you feel unappreciated, inadequate. They're going to be confused. You're leaving people vulnerable, unhappy, angry, and even feeling as if you're rejecting them, since they'll be perceived to you they'll perceive you as being unreliable or untrustworthy. And this is going to weaken your bond and reduce the intimacy, which could endanger the relationships that you have with them in the long run. You need to learn how to prioritize your life, and the people who you have close relationships with. If you want to keep them, you need to prioritize those people at the top of your list and work everything else around it, not the other way around. Let's give a couple examples of what consistency and inconsistency looks like. On the job, if you have days where you're doing really good at work, you're getting your projects done, you're meeting your deadlines, so on and so forth, but then you have 3 days in between where you're really slacking off, you're underperforming, I can guarantee you that your boss is going to see you being consistently late, consistently underperforming more than they're going to see the times where you are actually meeting your deadlines, showing up on time, and so on and so forth. Consistencies and inconsistencies in your romantic relationships. You tell your partner, I love you, but then your actions show that your partner is not a priority on your list. Why? Because you don't call them, you don't make plans with them, you don't follow through with the plans that you actually make with them. You don't show up when you're supposed to show up. You don't show them any empathy or love or sympathy when they're having a hard time. Being consistent in your relationships will help you and your partner bond and grow the intimacy. Then you have the consistencies and inconsistencies when it comes to your familiar relationships. The one that I would mostly touch on is being consistent with your children. Children need consistency in their lives. They just need it. They need schedules, they need times, places, spaces. Children need consistency when it comes to rewards and punishments and so on and so forth. I have a child that is on the autism spectrum, and this is where I really learned how to ensure that I was consistent in my actions as a parent, because I noticed that even the slightest change in his day-to-day activities can cause uh, can cause a lot of damage when it comes to his thought process and how he behaves and reacts in our home and at school. Children need schedules, they need rewards, they need discipline and punishment, and these things have to be consistent. You can't be the parent of the month for a couple days a week and then not show up at all, especially if there's long breaks in uh, your interaction with your children. So let's say you see your kids consistently 3 days a week and then you just disappear for an entire month. You can't just come back into their lives and think that you're going to be able to pick up where you left off, because number one, you've broken the trust with your child. They're not going to feel a connection with you. They're not going to find you reliable, dependable, or trustworthy, because now it's like they almost have to get to know you again because you've just completely disappeared. So you coming back around is going to have a negative effect on their behavior and how they act and react in different settings and situations. So, what are some of the warning signs that you can see with that come along with inconsistent behavior? Well, number one, your words and deeds don't line up. You express excitement about seeing someone again, and then you claim to be too busy to make the preparations. So, for example, you tell someone, say you're in your business, you have a business partner, you all are talking about plans of where you want to take your business and how you want it to grow. And then one partner starts preparing all of the things that you're going to need to grow your business, but then you don't contribute. You're not giving any ideas, you're not planning anything, you're not paying for any of the things that you need to grow the business. You're not doing any of the legwork. You're not doing any of the research. You're saying you're excited about growing this business, but your actions or lack thereof are showing that you're not. This is a red flag, and this is what makes you inconsistent. Without having any genuine skill or desire to follow through, you make grandiose promises. You tell someone, well, I'm going to help you do this, I'm going to help you do that, we're going to grow and we're going to get bigger. and you constantly say this, you get the other person excited about doing all these things, but you never follow through. At work, you frequently miss deadlines and you don't follow through to complete projects that you say you're going to complete. With your family, you tell them that you're you're going to take a family trip or go out somewhere. Or hell, you might say you're going to schedule therapy sessions so that your family can work on whatever issues you're having, and you come up with any and every excuse that you can to not follow through with making these appointments. You tell people that you love them, but your actions show something completely different. Or when your little ones complain and then you threaten discipline, but you don't follow through. These are all things that show how your words, what you say, and the promises you make and your actions don't line up. When you do this frequently and you're inconsistent with following through, the people around you are not going to trust you. They're not going to have any confidence in you. And it's going to get to a point where nothing you say even matters to them anymore because they don't believe that you're actually going to do any of the things that you say you do. No matter how many times you say, I'm sorry, or I love you, I care about you, or I'm getting help for this, or I'm getting help for that, nobody's going to believe you because your actions tell a completely different story from what it is that your words are saying. Second red flag is you make hot and cold blows. Your moods change at any time. In your personal connections, you alternate between being warm and attentive and cold and distant. Um, Sometimes a lot of people who are inconsistent for different reasons, which can dictate your actions. Like, say for instance, you are an alcoholic or a drug addict. This is going to make you blow hot and cold depending on whether or not you are on the substance or if you're not. um, when your children ask questions after you told them that they can do something or you're going to do something with them, and then when the time comes for you to do it, you tell them that you're too busy or you can't make it, or when things grow difficult and you move on, either mentally or physically, withdrawing your devotion or attention. Say, for instance, you and your partner have a house or an apartment or something, and the electricity was turned off. It was turned off for whatever reason. And instead of you working with your partner to try to figure out how to fix the problem, you run away from the problem and go somewhere else. And then your partner is left on their own to fix it. And then when everything is all good and worked out, then you come back. The lights are on, so now you're here. But when the lights were off and your partner was trying to get the lights on, you were nowhere around to be found. This is what it means to blow hot and cold. The third red flag is that you would tend to avoid plans. Your last minute cancellations of a planned date with someone, you routinely arrive late for appointments or meetings at work, you promise your children that you're going to do something special together over the weekend, but you decide against it because you're tired or you don't have a ride or whatever thing you come up with. I lost my phone. I actually had someone use that excuse for everything. Oh, my phone, I couldn't find my phone, or my phone was acting stupid. Um, you frequently miss out on getting together with friends and family and networking partners, business partners, and things like that. The fourth red flag is ineffective communication. You don't keep in touch, You phone or text them frequently, you don't return messages or emails, and you leave people waiting. Um, that one is a really big one because uh, a lot of people will use their inability to get in contact with someone as an excuse for why they don't follow through with things. But when they're with you, they have their phone in their hand all the time. Another communication defect is refraining from discussing your thoughts, feelings, or anxieties. um, if you find that you're the type of person who doesn't completely understand how to express themselves, then you need to say that to your partner. That way, the person that you are working with or trying to build a relationship with will have a better understanding as to why you're not having full discussions or completing your thoughts. If you frequently have trouble clearing up misconceptions, this one's a big one because I found that a person who has issues with communication, when they can't back up whatever thoughts that they're having, they tend to just make up things or outright lie just so that they can win an argument or have the upper hand in a discussion. They will do this to avoid talking about what's really and truly honestly going on with them. They have awkward conversations and then emotionally shut down when you try to urge them to give you examples, or they have this insatiable need to want to defend themselves against everything. They they think that no matter what you say to them, even if you're just expressing to them how you're feeling, instead of them hearing you out, taking it all in, putting it into context, or asking for clarification if they don't understand, they automatically jump into defense mode. And instead of having a decent conversation with the person that you're trying to build a relationship with, you go into this state where you want to fight. And then you start making up things just to hurt the other person because you are on the defense and you're not taking the time to understand or communicate clearly. And this in turn makes the person that you're interacting with not trust you. They don't find you dependable. They don't want to say anything that they feel like is going to set you off because they want to avoid the fighting and arguing. And then this all leads back to not communicating, not calling, not texting, not returning emails, and things like that, because now you all don't know what to say to one another because you feel like no matter what it is, they're going to go on the defense. You're going to start making up lies. You're going to start passing the blame. Then you're going to play the victim. And it's a whole big thing. When you are building relationships with people, you need to have effective communication. And effective communication is a skill that we all need to learn. And it starts at an early age. You have to learn how to be honest. You have to learn how to be open. You have to learn how to be truthful. You have to do this consistently with the person that you're building relationships with, so that you can come to each other whenever there's a serious issue, or if you're not going to be able to follow through with whatever plans you were making, you can say, hey, this came up, I'm not going to be able to do it. Cool, we can rain check or we can do something else and things like that, instead of simply ignoring it, not communicating, and then making what could have been a really small problem turn into something nuclear. The last red flag that I want to touch on is having unclear limits. You lack the ability to refuse and say no to people. Your needs and preferences aren't freely expressed. You frequently feel overburdened. You have trouble making and sticking with decisions. You frequently feel put out, hurt, or like others are preying on you. Any of these signs of consistency strike a chord with you, then you have to realize that no relationship is flawless and no one can be consistently consistent in all aspects of their life. The problem comes is when you don't even try. You will go through any of these five different red flags and you will make excuses for why you can't show up and do things that you say you're going to do. And by highlighting these tendencies, I would hope to make it easier for individuals to spot any of these trends in their own behavior and then take the necessary steps to make your relationships with other people more consistently. Now, I want to talk about how we can combat these issues and improve the stability in our relationships. The first way that you can combat being inconsistent is coming as you are. People are going to view you as being dependable and trustworthy if you consistently present yourself as the same distinct person in various contexts. Um, One example I can give you, uh, you meet someone and you watch them in different settings. With one group of people, they're happy go lucky, they're talkative, they make jokes, they're very social. And then when they're alone with you, they're depressing, they lie, they break promises, they say things just to hurt you. But then they'll go back into a setting with other people and it's like a completely different person. So you have to learn how to show up consistently. You have to keep the same attitude, the same energy. Now, granted, you're not going to be as social with people that you don't like. That's a given. Um, but in general, you need to show up with a consistent attitude when you're in different settings of people. The second is have reasonable expectations. Be aware of your own limitations and be careful not to make promises that you can't keep. I think that is pretty self-explanatory. Don't expect people to do every single thing that you want them to do and not lend a helping hand to help me help you. And if you don't have the ability to get something done, don't lie about it. Don't make promises saying that you're going to do it when you know in actuality you are not going, you have absolutely no intentions to follow through. The third, keep your promises. Honor your promises. But in the rare event that you're not able to fulfill them, then you need to let people know as soon as possible and provide them with an upfront explanation, an honest upfront explanation of the situation that's preventing you from following through. And either make other plans or reschedule whatever it is that you're supposed to do with them. The fourth, stop making excuses. You are always saying things like, I forgot, or I didn't have the time, or I got busy at work, I lost my phone, I didn't get the text, I didn't know what was going on, I was waiting for you to let me know. Just stop. You're just letting people know that you're not responsible and you refuse to take any accountability for whatever actions that you drop the ball over. Number five, don't avoid uncomfortable conversations. Don't ignore calls or messages and always reply to text. Now, me personally, I am guilty of doing this. Uh, I found myself in a situation with a person that I was not having good communication with. I was always walking on eggshells. So whenever they would call or text, I would ignore the call, not text back, and things like that. And by me avoiding this individual, it made them become more spiteful, and then their entire goal was set just to hurt me in some way, shape, or form. So, consistent communication reduces the uncertainty or misunderstandings that prevent upset feelings. Number six, quit trying to please everyone. You have to be courageous enough to tell people no. Um, a lot of us have this thing in us where we don't want to disappoint our parents. So whenever your parents call or your parents say, well, I need you to do this, I want you to do that, or you should go here, you should do that, you should read and you feel like all of your actions are dictated behind pleasing your parents and making them happy because you don't want to let them down or disappoint them. You have to learn how to be courageous enough to tell them no. Everyone will suffer if you are perceived as being untrustworthy and unable to follow through. So, you don't want to do it, or you don't have the ability to do it, but you won't say no to doing it. And then when you fail at whatever the task is, now everyone's disappointed in you when you could have avoided this entire situation from the beginning and just said, I really don't want to do this, and I don't want to start doing it because my heart's not in it and I'm probably not going to finish. Or you could say, well, I really don't have the resources to get this done. I don't have the manpower. I don't have the knowledge, or I'm not well read in the subject. So I don't think I would be the best person suited for this task. You need to be honest, and you need to let people know when you are not able to get something done. You need to be able to tell them no. Number seven, fight the memory loss. Use a diary, or better yet, reminder apps. You can put them on your phone. You have all types of calendars and alarms and task creators. One excuse that I find the most irritating is when people say they're going to do something, and then when they don't follow through and I question them on it, they say, oh, I forgot. And then when I ask, well, how did you forget? I text you, I called you, I told you to your face. It's written on the calendar right there in the kitchen so everybody in the family could see it. How did you forget? And there's no answer for that. Saying that you forgot something, especially when it's really important for your work or your family, your children, and so on and so forth, saying that you forgot is a horrible excuse, especially when there are so many different ways that you can give yourself reminders. And if you frequently tell people that you forgot something, they're going to view you as not being dependable, and they're never going to entrust you with any task ever again because they already have it in their mind that you're just not going to do it, and your excuse is going to be I forgot, and then you're going to say I'm sorry, and then you're going to expect them to accept your apology, and then you turn around and do it again. So try your best to remedy reminders for yourself so that you can't continuously use the excuse that you forgot something. Number eight, just be outright and express what you mean. Make sure that whatever you say comes from a place of sincerity. Being consistent entails telling the truth and being sincere about it. If there's a problem in your relationship, you can't just expect the person that you're working with to know what you're thinking, know how you're feeling, know your emotional process, know how you work things out. You need to be open and honest and clear about what's going on with you. You need to be able to look them in the eye and say, well, this is how I'm feeling, or this is what you said that made me feel this way, or I really don't like this because. And you have to be honest. Don't just make up things because you think it's going to get some kind of reaction out of them. Don't just stay quiet and expect other people to know what you're thinking and feeling. You have to open your mouth and tell them what's going on inside of your head so that the two of you can come together and fix whatever this problem is that's making you uncomfortable. Number 9, regularly express your gratitude to let others know how much you value them, value their efforts. And this is going to strengthen your relationship. Most likely, they're going to respond to you in kind, it'll contribute to developing a satisfying and joyful connection for both parties. We all need to feel like we're wanted in some way, shape, or form. And if you consistently allow your partners, your business partners, your romantic partners, your children, whoever it is, if you continuously allow them to go through life doing and doing and doing, and you're not showing any gratitude for what they're doing, then they're going to feel as if you don't care and you don't appreciate it. So if you're in a co-parenting relationship and the children are with one parent all the time consistently and you are coming in and out, the least you could do every now and then, hey, I really appreciate the fact that you take such good care of our children. Or if you are the non-custodial parent, the custodial parent will say to the non-custodial parent, I really appreciate that you consistently show up for our children, even though you're not here. Now, this all falls back to being consistent. If you want someone to show gratitude towards you so that you feel as if you're wanted and needed, you have to consistently show up and follow through. But showing how much you're thankful and grateful to your partners in your relationship is a really good way to help remedy being inconsistent. Number 10, pay attention to nonverbal cues. Make sure your nonverbal connection is consistent with your verbal communication. Now, in order for this to work, you have to consistently show up in an honest and sincere way with other people so that they can get to know you and your mannerisms. If I know what you look like at your high, then I'm going to notice when you're not up there. I'm going to notice when you're at your low. So make sure your nonverbal communication is consistent with your verbal communication. And this goes back to one of the steps that I said before, which is being open and honest about the way you're feeling and what you're thinking. If someone doesn't know you well enough to know when you're not feeling good about something, then they're not going to be able to really identify your nonverbal cues and communications. And no matter how much they pay attention to your body language, I'm not going to know that when you smile really hard, but your eyes look scared, that you are just in shock and you're not uncomfortable and frightened. You know what I mean? So you have to be open and honest about what you're feeling, and you have to consistently show up with these people so that they can learn your nonverbal cues. That way, they have the ability to pay attention and spot any warning signs. And we need to maintain eye contact and just look at how their body language matches up to what they're saying. Number 11, make a commitment to the process of creating good relationships. Remember, it's not about the intensity or grand gestures. Instead, concentrate on doing those little crucial things every day. For example, say hello to your spouse in the morning before reaching for your phone. Spend 5 minutes catching up with your coworkers before your shift starts. Pay full attention to your children as they tell you what's going on in their school day. And in order for any of that to work, you need to actively and consistently be around for any of this to happen. You have to be open to wanting to build a strong foundation. So, this is going to take your consistent presence for you to concentrate on the little things, to creating the relationships and building the foundation, a strong foundation. You have to show up. You have to be there. You can't just pop up whenever it's convenient for you. You have to consistently be there. That way, whenever your kids come home from school and you're always there, they get off the bus, you say, "Hey, how are you doing? How was school?" That's a small thing. And it's crucial because it builds trust. It shows your kids that you care about them, that you care about their lives, how they're feeling, what they're going through. That one small question is going to build a rapport between you and that child, and it's going to create a bond that can't be broken. Number 12, the last step, is probably going to be one of the hardest steps for a lot of people because it requires you to dig a little deeper into yourself and your own mental health to discover the possible causes of your inconsistent behavior. Are you afraid of intimacy or closeness? Do you struggle with any actual mental health issues? Do you require more healthy boundaries, or maybe you need to learn better healthy communication skills? To help you overcome any personal obstacles that you might be facing in this respect, you need to seek professional help. And a lot of people will view going to therapy and seeking mental health professionals as some sort of weakness. But you have to realize that because you won't take the time to address any of these uh, problems, unconscious problems that you're having, it's going to have an effect on your consciousness. And in turn, it's going to have a negative effect on all of the people around you. And you are not going to be able to open yourself up to create firm foundations, to build connections and healthy relationships. You are not going to be consistent in anyone's lives. You're not going to be able to show up the way that you're supposed to because you won't address whatever the problem is that you are continuously trying to avoid. It takes time and effort and patience to establish consistency in any relationship that you have. So you need to take baby steps and avoid having high expectations too soon. But in turn, you also need to know that the people around you that you are asking to have patience with you have limits also. So you can't continuously flake on everyone around you for year after year after year and expect them to not simply give up on you and walk away because they have their limits too. And you need to be understanding of that. You need to understand that the relationship doesn't center around you and you alone. It is focused on the collective, of the people that you're in this relationship with. So you too need to keep in mind their feelings, emotions, behaviors. Everyone needs to first do a deep internal look and find out what it is that you're dealing with that is affecting your mental health to the point where you don't have the ability to show up consistently and follow through